We need to let you go, Olivia. This isn't personal. I blinked twice, trying to make sense of the words. Mr. Hammond slid a manila envelope across the desk like it burned his fingertips. There have been accusations. And after reviewing what was sent to HR, I couldn't even hear the rest. My heart was pounding too loud. I didn't say a word, just stared at the envelope, at the emails, the screenshots. My name plastered across text threads I'd never written. Spreadsheets with data tampered. Files that were mine, but warped beyond recognition. Rachel. Only one person had access. Only one person knew those passwords. Only one person I'd trusted like a sister for 6 years. I looked out the office window as the security guard approached. My mouth opened to speak, but nothing came out. Not even a whisper. Not a protest. Not a plea. I just nodded, got up, and walked out. My legs were shaking. My face was calm. And behind my eyes, a question burned. Why would she do this? Rachel Montgomery and I met at a networking brunch in Dallas 6 years ago. I had just moved from Chicago to take a marketing manager role at a mid-sized wellness brand. I didn't know a single soul in Texas. I was still adjusting to the heat, the accents, and the way everyone asked, "How are you?" and expected an actual answer. Rachel was standing near the mimosa bar, complaining about how no one real shows up to these events anymore. I laughed. She looked over. And just like that, we clicked. "I like you, Olivia," she'd said that day. "You're sharp. You're not fake." We got lunch the next week. Then dinner the week after. By month 3, we were sharing weekend plans, venting about work, and celebrating birthdays together. She was charming, hilarious, bold. She had this way of taking over a room. Walking into a meeting with her latte in one hand, sunglasses on top of her head, and confidence that made her 10 inches taller than she was. She also had this quiet desperation under the surface.
I didn't see it then.
Not clearly.
But now?
I see it all. I come from a quiet Midwest family. My mom was a school librarian. My dad worked in logistics for 32 years and still says I don't trust overnight shipping. I was raised to believe in hard work, loyalty, and never causing scenes. Rachel was the opposite. Raised in Southern California, she talked about therapy like it was a badge of honor, cried during board meetings unapologetically, and once told me, "You need to stop playing safe, Liv. No one remembers the girl who just does her job." I thought she was helping me grow. I thought she was pushing me out of my shell. But looking back, she wasn't cheering me on. She was pulling strings, making sure I needed her. She'd correct my emails before I hit send. She'd tell me which heels made me look too soft in client meetings. She even edited my LinkedIn profile without asking and said, "Trust me. Now you look like a boss." I'd never had a sister. Rachel became that. She was the one I called after my promotion. The one who drove me to urgent care when I had food poisoning. The one who threw me a surprise party when I turned 30. And I was there for her too. When her fiancé left her 5 months before the wedding, I canceled a work trip and stayed up 3 nights in a row just to make sure she didn't sleep alone. When her dog died, I took the day off work to sit with her on the floor of her apartment as she sobbed into his old blanket. I didn't see the shift happen. Not at first. But it started after the executive vice president, Mitchell Collins, began calling me into strategy sessions without her. I remember the first time it happened. We had both been on the team for over 3 years. We always went to those meetings together. We presented as a unit. But that day, my calendar invite didn't include her. She noticed. "Was that a mistake?" she asked casually, stirring her oat milk latte. "I don't know. He just asked me to pop in for a quick brainstorm." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Over the next year, my visibility at the company started to grow. I was asked to speak at the Women in Business Summit. My reports were referenced in quarterly meetings. Mitchell even asked me to lead a major rebranding initiative, something Rachel had always said she wanted to do. She congratulated me, hugged me, took me out for cocktails. But something shifted after that night. Her texts became shorter. Her calendar was suddenly too full. She stopped tagging me in team success posts on LinkedIn, little things that no one else noticed. But I did. One Friday, she called me. I hope this doesn't sound rude, she started, but I feel like ever since your promotion, you've gotten distant. I was stunned. Distant? Rachel, I've been slammed. You know that. I just don't feel like you value our friendship the same anymore, she said, her voice soft and accusatory. I apologized. Profusely. I told her she was right, that I would make more time, that I didn't want to lose her. And I meant every word.
But now?
I realized she wasn't asking for closeness. She was testing her control. There were little moments, strange moments, I brushed off at the time. She once borrowed my work laptop for a presentation and said, "Don't worry, I logged you out of everything." A week later, a file from my folder was corrupted. I thought it was a glitch. She once joked that I should really change my password from your dog's name. That's like Hacker 101. I laughed. And never changed it. I thought she was looking out for me. She was looking for ways in. Then came the mentorship program. I'd been selected to lead a pilot initiative mentoring junior associates. Rachel and I had both applied, but I was the one chosen. When I told her, she smiled and said, "Wow, you're just winning everything this year, huh?" Something in her tone made me pause. But I ignored it. I always ignored it. It wasn't until I lost everything that I realized how much I'd given her. My trust. My passwords. My silence. She'd lied to ruin me, and succeeded. But what she didn't know is that karma doesn't need passwords. It just needs time. The day after I was fired, I stayed in bed for 11 hours. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just laid there, staring at the popcorn ceiling in my quiet apartment, wondering how one lie could erase 6 years of excellence, loyalty, and spotless record. The HR packet on my nightstand spelled it all out. Data breaches. Misuse of company information. Leaking confidential files. All allegedly tied to my login credentials. All reported, anonymously. Rachel had access to everything. She had the motive. She had the opportunity. She knew I trusted her completely. On Monday morning, I got a text from a colleague, Jenna, from accounting. "Hey, just wanted to say I'm so sorry about what happened. I hope you're okay." I hadn't told anyone. The company hadn't made any announcement. But somehow, the rumors were already spreading. By noon, I got an email from an old client we'd both worked on. "Just saw the news. Honestly shocked, Olivia. You were always the most professional person in the room." That's when the shame kicked in. Not from what I did, because I did nothing, but from what people believed. Because in this world, especially in corporate America, accusation feels like evidence. I called Mitchell, the EVP who had once championed me. He didn't answer. So I sent a long email.
Calm.
Professional. Full of bullet points and explanations. He replied 2 hours later. "I think it's best to let the process play out. Take care of yourself." That was it. No defense. No support. Just distance. By Friday, I was officially locked out of my accounts. Emails, Slack, Drive access, all gone. I walked past our office building that afternoon. Just once. Just to see it from the outside. I spotted Rachel inside, through the glass wall of the conference room. Laughing. Presenting. Living. The part that stung the most wasn't that she framed me. It was that no one questioned it. Not even once. I tried to tell myself it would all come out eventually. That someone would see through it. That the truth would be undeniable.
But weeks went by.
Then months. And no one came. No emails. No texts. No second chances. My rent started eating through my savings. My confidence evaporated faster than my severance. I stopped applying to jobs after one recruiter told me, "There's been chatter around your name." Sorry, Olivia. We need someone clean. I remember sitting in my car in a grocery store parking lot after that call. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. And I whispered to no one. What did I ever do to her? Then came the final insult. Rachel sent me a message. Not a text. Not a call. A DM on Instagram, like I was some stranger she once met at a party. "Hey Liv. I hope you're okay. Just want you to know I had nothing to do with what happened. People are always looking for someone to blame. Don't let it change who you are. I stared at the message for a long time. And then I noticed something. She had unsent several previous messages. Almost like she was covering her tracks. That was the moment something shifted in me. I didn't reply. I didn't confront her. I just blocked her.
Phone.
Email. Socials. Everything. And then I turned off my phone and sat in silence, real silence, for the first time in weeks. Not the kind of silence that comes from isolation. The kind that comes from refusing to chase closure. I realized that day, Rachel wasn't just a liar. She was an architect of false narratives. She didn't just betray me. She redesigned me in the eyes of others.
Piece by piece.
Lie by lie. And no one blinked. Because she was charming. Because she was clever. Because she made sure her version of me was easier to believe. I started therapy the next week. Told the therapist everything, from the job loss to the Instagram DM to the lies. After listening quietly for almost 45 minutes, she said, "She didn't just lie to ruin your reputation, Olivia. She needed to take something from you. Because she thought you had too much." That's when I stopped waiting for someone to clear my name. And started building a life where I didn't need permission to exist. I didn't post a goodbye on LinkedIn. I didn't send a mass email or share my side. No statement.
No defense.
Just silence. Everyone waited for a reaction, but none came. And in that vacuum, I found something I hadn't felt in months.
Control.
First, I deleted all shared folders from my personal drive. Anything Rachel had ever had access to gone. Then I called my bank and canceled the auto transfer I'd set up for the co-working space we both used. Next, I changed every password I'd ever lazily repeated. The dog's name, the birth dates, the Rachel knows me 123 joke I once thought was clever. I deleted photos. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. The brunches, the birthdays, the filtered selfies. All of it had become evidence of a life I had outgrown. A trust that had been misplaced. Rachel hadn't just stolen my job. She had stolen the version of me that believed people wouldn't weaponize closeness. And in losing that version, I found something better. I stopped trying to network my way back in. I stopped explaining the gaps in my resume to recruiters. Instead, I started freelancing quietly, designing digital campaigns for small wellness startups through Fiverr and Upwork. No logos. No names. No spotlight. Just me, my laptop, my ideas. And people paid me. Because the work spoke. Not office politics. Not personality contests. Just results. 3 months later, I moved to Asheville. A small town with big trees, quiet cafes, and people who didn't ask what you did before they asked how you were. I rented a cottage near the Blue Ridge Parkway. No one there knew who Rachel Montgomery was. No one there cared. I'd wake up early, walk trails in the mist, then come home to answer client emails in yoga pants and a mug that said, "Get SHD done." Asterisk. It wasn't glamorous. But it was mine. I didn't post pictures. I didn't tell anyone except my parents where I was. Rachel probably thought I was still in Dallas. Still struggling. Still hurting. But I wasn't. I was finally healing. Not in a loud, victorious way. In the way fog clears when the sun just exists. I read books I'd bought years ago, but never opened. I journaled long, angry letters I never sent. And for the first time in forever, I began to sleep. Not doze. Not crash. Sleep. One afternoon, my therapist asked me, "If you could say one thing to Rachel now, what would it be?" I sat with that question for a long time. I thought of all the words she didn't deserve. The explanations she'd never asked for. And then I finally answered. "Thank you for teaching me what peace is by showing me what it's not." My silence wasn't punishment. It was a declaration. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need a public reckoning. I didn't need karma to crash through the ceiling with fire and sirens. I just needed distance. And for the first time, my silence wasn't fear. It was freedom. It started with a DM. From a woman named Natalie Ruiz, someone I hadn't spoken to in nearly 4 years. We met briefly at a charity gala in Austin. She was Mitchell's wife, the EVP who had once backed me before going radio silent after Rachel's lie took root. She was warm, gracious, and she'd complimented my speech that night. Now, out of nowhere, she wrote, "Hi Olivia. I hope it's okay I'm reaching out. I've recently learned a few things and I think you deserve to know. Could we talk?" My stomach twisted. I hesitated, then replied,
Yes.
"I'm listening." She called me 2 hours later.
Her voice was calm, direct.
"I know what Rachel did. I know you were framed." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Mitchell found the backup logs. From IT. He was going over some archived accounts after a departmental audit. Your name came up again and something didn't make sense.
She paused.
There were login attempts made from Rachel's home IP, using your credentials, months before you were let go. I blinked. She continued. He confronted her. She denied everything. Of course.
But then she panicked.
Tried to say you gave her permission. Said you'd authorized her to assist with reports on your behalf. I nearly laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was so familiar. Mitchell doesn't know I'm calling you. He's still trying to figure out what to do. But I couldn't just stay silent anymore. My throat tightened. All this time, I'd carried the weight alone. And now, someone saw me. Natalie sent me screenshots. Audit logs. Time-stamped IP access that matched Rachel's home Wi-Fi. Internal messages that never made it to my inbox. She had printed proof. Not speculation. Evidence. A few days later, a former colleague named Travis messaged me out of the blue. "Hey, I owe you an apology. I think I believed the wrong person back then." I stared at the screen for nearly 10 minutes before replying. What changed? He sent a screenshot. Rachel had applied for a role at a new agency, and someone on their team flagged her for possible ethics violations based on whisper networks from their Dallas branch. Rumors. Digital footprints. Bits of truth she couldn't outrun. One by one, messages started coming in. A junior designer I had mentored. A freelancer I once hired. Even Angela, one of the women on the HR team that pushed my dismissal through. She emailed me privately. "I regret how it was handled. You were never given a fair chance." I didn't feel vindicated.
Not yet.
But I felt something else.
Seen.
For months, I'd wondered if the silence around me meant I had imagined it all. Now I knew the truth was finally breaking through. Not because I screamed it, but because it refused to stay buried. I told Natalie thank you, not just for the information, but for believing me when no one else had the courage to look deeper. She replied, "You didn't deserve what happened. And honestly, I think Rachel's going to face a lot more soon." That night, I made tea, curled up on the couch in my North Carolina cottage, and looked out at the stars. No news headline had cleared my name. No LinkedIn post had gone viral. But I didn't need a stage. Just that quiet, golden confirmation. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I was right. And now, others knew it too. 2 weeks after Natalie's call, I received a message from an unfamiliar number. "Hey Olivia. It's Rachel. Can we talk for a second?" I stared at the screen like it was a live snake. I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, another ping. "I think there's been some confusion, and I'd really love to clear the air."
Please.
Just 5 minutes. I blocked the number. Then she emailed. Subject: Let's reset. "Hi Liv. I know we've both been through a lot this year and things got out of hand. I never wanted any of this to spiral. I care about you and always have. If I hurt you, I'm truly sorry. Let's reset things. I miss my friend." Reset. Like our friendship was just a loose cable that needed plugging back in. Like she hadn't detonated my entire life from the inside out. Then I got a call from Samantha, one of the marketing directors who had stopped talking to me the moment the rumors hit. "Hey. So weird, I was just thinking about you. I heard you're freelancing, that's awesome." I said nothing. Honestly, some of us have been talking about how unfair that whole situation was. It's all such a mess, isn't it? I could hear the anxiety in her voice. Not regret, just calculation. She wanted to know what I knew. If I was going to go public. If her silence made her complicit. She ended the call with, "Anyway, just know there's no bad blood from my side. And if you ever want to collab, I'd love to work with you again."
Click.
A few days later, Mitchell, the EVP, emailed me directly. His tone was formal. "There are discussions happening internally. You may be contacted for clarification regarding your previous role. I hope you're doing well." No apology. Just corporate hedging. Like if he danced carefully enough, he could pretend he was never part of it. People weren't reaching out because they cared. They were reaching out because the truth was leaking and they didn't want to drown in it. They weren't apologizing. They were preparing. And then came the most insulting reach out of all. Rachel's mother.
Yes.
Her mother. A woman I had only met once, 3 years ago, at Rachel's birthday dinner in Fort Worth. She sent me a Facebook message. "Olivia, I don't mean to intrude, but Rachel is not doing well. She's under a lot of stress right now. I don't know the full story, but if there's anything you can do to help her move forward, please consider it." Help her move forward? I stared at the message so long. My tea went cold. The audacity of being painted as the obstacle in her healing when she was the architect of my downfall. That was the moment I realized something critical. They didn't want reconciliation. They wanted control of the narrative. They wanted to write their version of events before the real one took hold. I didn't reply to any of them. Not Rachel. Not Samantha. Not Mitchell. Not her mother. Because I owed them nothing. No closure. No forgiveness. No access. But I did forward everything, every email, every message, every attempt to my personal attorney just in case. Not because I was pursuing legal action yet, but because silence doesn't mean vulnerability anymore.
It means I'm documenting.
And they knew it. Word must have spread. Because after that, the messages slowed down. People stopped pretending to miss me. The performative sympathy dried up like spilled wine on an old rug. They realized I wasn't coming back. And more importantly, I wasn't going quiet either. A month after Rachel's failed reset email, I received a small, cream-colored envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note on thick stationery and a folded photo. It read, "You probably don't remember me, but I'll never forget you. My name is Grace. 4 years ago, my daughter interned at your company. She was shy, unsure of herself, and terrified of being invisible. You were the only person who saw her. You sat with her during lunch. You introduced her to the team. You gave her the courage to apply to grad school. Today, she graduated with her master's in public health. She credits you. I just wanted to say, thank you. You didn't just help her professionally, you made her feel like she mattered. We need more Olivias in this world. With all my heart, thank you." I unfolded the photo. It was Grace's daughter, Amanda, in her cap and gown, smiling, holding her diploma. Tears welled up in my eyes, not because I remembered the day, but because I had forgotten it. It had been so small, so ordinary, and yet, for her, it had meant everything. That night, I pulled out an old file from my Google Drive, a list of names I used to keep, interns, assistants, junior hires. Beside each name, I'd written one good thing I remember them doing. Amanda's name was there. Offered to stay late for that product shoot without being asked. Helped calm Rachel when she cried over the client feedback. Huge potential. My hands trembled slightly. All this time, I had been focused on the loss, the betrayal, the wreckage. But this moment, this was legacy. A few days later, I got another message. This time from Lisa Tang, a former client from my early freelance days. "Hey Olivia, I just got back from a retreat and couldn't stop thinking about the campaign you helped us run last year. It literally doubled our donor base. We still use your messaging in our presentations. Also, small world, one of my new board members mentioned they used to work with you. She said you were the reason she stayed sane during a brutal year. You should know your name is still being spoken. In good rooms. By good people." I sat with that message for a long time.
Let it soak in.
Let it challenge the belief I'd secretly carried since the day I was fired. That the lie was louder than the truth. But it wasn't. It never had been. It just took time for the echo of kindness to reach back.
And now?
It was pouring in. Another message came. This time, through LinkedIn. A young woman named Alyssa, who had only interacted with me during a panel I spoke at years ago. You probably don't remember me, but I remember you. You said, being invisible in the room doesn't mean you're not essential to the work. I never forgot that. It got me through some tough places. I'm now a creative director. I say that line to my team. I smiled. Not because I was proud of past me, but because present me needed that reminder. I didn't need Rachel's apology. I didn't need Mitchell's admission. I didn't need the job back, the title, the inbox, the desk. What I needed, and what I finally had, was proof that I'd always mattered, even in silence, even when I thought no one saw. The world Rachel had poisoned with lies? It wasn't the whole world. There were people on the other side. People who had held pieces of me quietly, waiting for the right time to speak. And now, they were speaking.
Loudly.
Boldly. Unapologetically. Their gratitude wasn't just nice. It was healing. It was rebuilding. It was vindication without vengeance. And I knew in my bones that Rachel heard it too. Even in her echo chamber of denial. Even surrounded by her curated circle. She was hearing the truth return without my help. Because that's how real impact works. It outlives lies. Every time. I hadn't heard from Rachel in over 2 months. Then one rainy Thursday afternoon, a knock came at my door. I peeked through the side window. It was her. She was standing on my porch in a navy trench coat, hair damp from the drizzle, holding a small box. For a second, I thought I'd imagined it. Then she knocked again, softer this time. I opened the door halfway. No smile. No greeting. Just, why are you here? She looked smaller. Not physically. Just less inflated. Less sure. I drove a long way, she said. Can I come in? I stepped outside and pulled the door behind me. Say what you need to say. Right here. She blinked, as if surprised I wasn't offering tea, a chair, comfort. I'm not proud of what happened, Liv. I lost control. Things got away from me. I never meant to hurt you like that. I stayed silent. She shifted her weight. People are saying things.
About me.
Things that aren't true. I raised an eyebrow. That's hard, I said flatly. When people believe things you didn't do. Her face reddened. She opened the box. Photos, old friendship trinkets, a coffee mug from our first work trip. I thought maybe we could talk. Just start over. I miss us. I let the silence stretch. Then I asked, did you come to clear your name or mine? She looked down. Didn't answer. I'm not the villain people are making me out to be, she whispered. I nodded slowly. And I'm not the villain you made me out to be either. She stared at me for a long moment, then finally said, I didn't think it would go that far. I didn't think you'd actually get fired. You knew what you were doing, Rachel. I just wanted people to see me. Not always you. There it was. Not an apology. Not accountability. Just envy, dressed as regret. I looked her in the eye. I don't hate you, I said. But I don't trust you. And I don't owe you anything. Not a conversation, not closure, and definitely not a seat in my life again. Her lip trembled slightly. So that's it. I nodded. That's it. She held out the box. I didn't move. She set it on the porch railing. And then, slowly, awkwardly, she walked back to her car. No screaming. No dramatic confrontation. Just a soft final no. And a door I didn't slam, just quietly closed. Inside, I watched from the window as her taillights faded down the winding road. Then I turned, made tea, and sat in the stillness. My phone buzzed. A message from one of my new clients, a wellness brand founder in Oregon. Loved your proposal. Can we book a long-term retainer with you? I smiled. Typed back. Let's do it. No fireworks. No courtroom drama. Just peace. The kind of peace that comes when you no longer perform for people who won't clap for you unless they're in control. I didn't get the ending I once thought I needed. I got something better. I got my life back. They say karma takes time. But here's what they don't tell you. It's not always a grand moment of justice. Sometimes, karma is silence. Sometimes, it's walking away without needing to be understood. Sometimes, it's watching people crumble under the weight of the lies they told, long after you've stopped explaining yourself. For the longest time, I believed that if I did everything right, if I showed up, gave my best, stayed kind, that it would protect me. It didn't. But it revealed everything I needed to see. Because when people lie to ruin you, and you survive it, you don't just heal, you evolve. You stop begging for clarity. You stop chasing apologies. You stop shrinking to fit rooms that only accepted you on their terms. So, if you're watching this, and someone has betrayed you, lied about you, tried to erase everything you built,
You are not what they said.
you are not their version of the story. And you don't need revenge to win. Sometimes, walking away is the loudest power move of all.